When preparing for emergencies and disasters, we often think about tools and gear, right? That's easy for us to be thinking about. Things like the knife, the fire starter, the tent. But there's one important tool, perhaps the most important tool, that we often forget about. And it's a tool you actually already have on you. What is it? We're going to talk about it in this episode of Disaster Class.
You're listening to DisasterClass podcast by Instinct Ready Emergency Management. Hello, everyone, and welcome to DisasterClass, the podcast that's dedicated to helping you educate, prepare, and equip yourself for life's disruptions. I'm Jason Perez.
And folks, I'm Wesley Long.
And Wesley, you know what the bell means.
Absolutely. Means, friends, class is in session.
Sweet. Well, as we kind of mentioned in the cold open, right? One of our favorite topics, Wesley, is gear.
Love gear.
We're all about the gear, and maybe just to get the conversation going, Wes, do you have a favorite piece of gear in your go bag?
All of it. No. Yeah. So for me, I think one of my favorite pieces of gear that I think is often overlooked, and the value of it is like people don't realize the value of it, is a folding saw. Not necessarily a knife. Knife is awesome. Like I love a BK7. Like obviously that's great. But a folding saw I find is so useful because it's like so much wood needs to be treated. And to have something that actually can make that work go faster, be more efficient in something that's small and compact and that's not very expensive, I think that thing provides a huge lift when providing for the needs, right? For the
Right.
wood to keep you warm. So folding saw, small, compact, inexpensive, super valuable, super valuable.
Yeah. Man, when I think about favorite gear, I am terrible. Like whenever anyone asks me like what's my favorite anything, I'm not a favorites guy. It's always kind of like in the moment, like what am I feeling? But
Okay.
I am a knife guy. I love knives. So I have my K-bar um
Yeah.
Marine Corps knife, but I also have a K-bar kukri machete, which is really cool. I'll have to put a picture up, but it's a pretty cool knife, and it's super solid. You can split wood with it, and
Yep.
so it's pretty cool. But yeah, that folding saw is pretty awesome. One of my other favorite pieces of gear has to be my Sawyer mini filter.
Yep.
When we go camping and stuff, just carrying water is, it's a lot of weight. So if you can just filter water that you have available, like from a creek, from a pond or a lake, and just turn that into drinkable water is huge. So I always got my Sawyer mini filter with me too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we used to ask this question all the time in our community emergency planning, our CEP class. And I know you know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway to the audience. Does anybody know how much a gallon of water weighs?
Oh man, what is it, like 8 pounds, something like
8 pounds. So to
that?
your point, yeah, it's great to have something compact and efficient like the Sawyer mini filter. I have one in my kit as well. Absolutely love it. I have it in line with my hydration pack. So as I scoop up
Yeah.
fresh water, as I'm drinking it through the straw, it's being filtered. So that's just one of the things I like to do with mine. But yeah, Sawyer mini, top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we think preparedness, right, that's what we think about. We think of the cool gadgets, the gear, the stuff, food, water, shelter, right? But there's one vital tool that we all have. You don't have to pay for it. Um, and how we take care and use this tool really can make all the difference in a time of emergency, in time of crisis.
Yep.
And that's none other than our body.
Absolutely. So what we're going to discuss today is the question, what role does health and fitness play in emergency preparedness?
It's a great question. And to answer that question, we talked with a good friend of mine, one of my old partners when I was still working EMS, Isaac Williams. So I just want to interrupt for just a moment to say thank you to Sawyer Products for sponsoring this episode of Disaster Class. I personally love Sawyer Products. I've been using their water filter and insect repellent for years. Every time I go camping, hiking, spend any time outdoors, I've got my Sawyer products there. I keep a water filter in my go bag. That way, if anything happens, I know it's there when I need it. So whether you're in the back country, the backyard, you're on the trail, or doing humanitarian relief, Sawyer products are making an impact. So visit Sawyer.com today to learn more and to find a retailer near you.
My name is Isaac Williams. I'm currently with I Will Aesthetics, and I'm also a full-time firefighter EMT. I have my own coaching business, hence that's what I Will Aesthetics is. Really, the I Will is a play on my actual government name, Isaac Williams. So it's just like a shortened version of I Will. So it's like a motivational mantra, if you will, just to get things done. So that's the origin of the name. And it's really intertwined into fitness, into hybrid, like running and things of that nature.
So before we get into the specifics of how health and fitness relates to personal preparedness, let's discuss how it relates first to first responders, individuals that are doing this job.
Really, health and fitness is paramount because when you think about it, you're getting up and out of the rig, whether that's the ambulance or the fire truck, whatever the case may be. You're getting up and out of it. Oftentimes, you have to walk up the steps. If you're in a city, like you mentioned, Jason, in Washington Heights, a lot of times those buildings didn't have elevators. So we had to hike up 5 to 6 stories with EMS gear, which could be around 50 pounds. You're carrying a stair chair, an air bottle, the jump bag, so on and so forth. So it's paramount in that regard. And really, you want to be good for your crew and good for your patient as well. So I think having a good health and fitness routine is absolutely essential.
So obviously, health and fitness in the context of first responders, right? It's vital. And this is why, like, those who are trying to become EMTs, firefighters, oftentimes have to pass some sort of fitness exam to be able to qualify for the job.
Mhm.
And from the community perspective, we want those who are coming to our aid, to help us, to rescue us, to be able to be fit and to be able to provide the help that we need. But from the first responder perspective, we work as a team, and we count on our teammates, right? We have to have each other's back. And so Isaac talks about a pretty scary experience that he had that really emphasizes the point of why first responders need to be in shape.
We had an actual structure fire, and me and my captain, we were assigned to roof operations. So we was on top of the roof. To make a long story shorter, my captain fell through the roof. He was able to hold himself up just with his arms. And so I got on my belly and I grabbed him with one hand. And him knowing that I like to work out, he said, pull me up, Isaac, pull me up. And I could just hold him. I couldn't pull him up because the firefighter gear is probably about, just with bunker gear alone, probably 60 pounds. And then he has his bottle, that's another 25 pounds. Then he had his tools, so it's like 100 pounds, not including his body weight. I wasn't able to pull him up, but what I was able to do was to hold on to him until other crews got beneath him. I never want to be the guy that, like, oh man, can I really go into a fire with him?
So that's a pretty crazy story, wouldn't you agree, Wes? Just
Oh yeah, that's
insane.
absolutely insane. And he was already relatively fit, right?
Right.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
But now let's shift focus a little bit, right? So obviously, those who are tasked with responding to an emergency, right, need to be in shape. But what about the average community member?
There's a picture that actually comes to my mind. Maybe an individual can Google it. It says, "You do not want to be this guy," and it's pretty much it's a father and a child, and they're evacuating. I think they're in flood waters, and it's another man carrying his child because he's unfit to do so. But you want to be there for your family. Let's say you have to take your family somewhere, and how bad would it look if you cannot pick up your child and go the distance? You know, you
Mm.
will feel horrible, especially as a father or as a mother. So you have to prioritize your fitness, yes, in emergency preparedness, everyday life.
So, that entire scenario, that segment there, it really reminded me of talking to Rob Roberts about the Hurricane Helene response. And in there, he talked about how some individuals physically could not help because of their fitness level, right? And not being able to help yourself or help your loved ones can actually turn you into a liability, right? If you can't help others, that means you need to be helped. And
Right.
it changes the whole situation.
Yeah. And so and not only that, but think about, not only are you not able to help yourself, but now those that are coming to your aid are now at risk, because now they have
Yep.
to maybe put themselves into a potentially, you know, dangerous situation to rescue you. And so we actually we'll go ahead and put the picture up on screen. You can see it
Yeah.
here. Um,
Powerful.
and so
Powerful image.
it is a powerful image. And not
Yeah.
only is the guy carrying his kid, he's also carrying his wife and kid together.
Right. And it's
So
and you see the other guy who's not able, like, how do you feel? We don't want to be, that individual, right? So
right.
besides being a liability, as we mentioned, when we think of preparedness, maybe we think of having, what we've talked about all the time, which is absolutely not incorrect. Having the go bag, having the gear, right? But a lot of times what we fail to realize is there's so much more to it than just having a bag and some clothes.
Especially in the height of an emergency, your adrenaline is already pumping, right? So your heart rate's already going fast. Then let's say, okay, you have little ones, but then maybe you have to carry your go bag or something like that. Your U pack or whatever it may be, you have to carry
Yep.
that too. And then now you're struggling, you can't even do it. And like you
Yeah.
said, you're a liability. If transportation is broken down and you have to walk somewhere, God forbid, you have to walk somewhere, can you walk somewhere for an extended period of time? So hopefully the go bag, like you said, maybe it's around 20 to 25 pounds or maybe even lighter, but can you walk the distance without getting overly fatigued? So fitness comes into play more than we realize it, but in every aspect of life for sure.
As we're talking about, we need to be able to carry that gear, right? We can't assume that we're going to have access to transportation. This is why we recommend in our minimum survival standard, and this you're going to start hearing more and more of this as we start pushing this content out, that it's recommended that your go bag not exceed 20% of your body weight. So obviously, that's going to vary from person to person, but at least it starts giving you a target of how much your bag should weigh. Because more than that, it can become extremely cumbersome and it could become dangerous and it could be something that you no longer are able to carry. In which case, if you're leaving it on the side of the road or something, it's not helping you. It's not helping sustain your life.
Right.
Yeah.
And Wes, when and thinking about not having access to transportation, this also kind of reminded me of our conversation with Rob Roberts, and he showed us some of the footage of the Hurricane Helene response, and he was able to get in there with his heavy duty Jeep, but like
Barely.
there was no roads,
There's no
like
roads. Everything was
literally
washed away.
no roads. And so like as we've talked about in previous episodes, to have the assumption that you're going to have transportation, or as
Hmm.
you know,
That's what
those
I
in
would say. Go for it.
our CEP classes where they want to
Yeah.
have their little rolly bag with their go bag gear
Right.
in there, you're
Right.
the think that you're going to have access to a flat level ground is not realistic.
Yeah.
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 But in regards to preparedness, right? Uh, we think about, as we've talked about, being able to carry the stuff, use the stuff, maybe walking long distances. But health and fitness plays a much bigger role than just being able to handle those physical challenges.
Really, it's at the core of our life because when you are in better shape, it trickles into other areas of your life. You combat diseases, you have more mental clarity, you just wake up with more energy, you're more focused. Really, it's the most underdiagnosed antidepressant. Like everyone should prioritize fitness. You don't have to be a gym rat, but just maybe 30 minutes a day, or maybe just get out and do a brisk jog. Just keep that heart pumping, and you're automatically going to feel better if you do that. And someone had asked me, like, well, we're all going to die anyway, right? Isn't that the case? And I always say, although that may be true, it's not about how you want to die, rather it's about how do you want to live. And when I think about that, like, we all live, but what is the quality of our life? Like, do we wake up with aches and pains and we dread the day? Or do we wake up with that energy, that vitality, that fitness and working out gives you, and then you can be the better husband, the better wife, the better father or the mother?
Yeah, you know, it's true. Wes, you know, he talked about how health and fitness can give us like that mental clarity, right? You know, it's a disaster, an emergency situation is going to be a very stressful environment.
Yep.
And your health and fitness is also going to play a role in how you deal and you cope with that stress.
Yep.
And so I think about, you know, myself, kind of just a personal experience working through the COVID response, those extra long shifts, the increased call volume.
Yeah.
And, you know, prior to COVID, I had a pretty good routine. I would go to the gym 3 to 4 days a week. But then, of course, during COVID, everything shut down. And so now I wasn't
Yeah.
working out like I used to. And there was a noticeable difference on how I myself was handling and coping with that stress, even
Yep.
from a mental health
Yep.
perspective. Those were some really difficult times for myself, and getting back into a good health and fitness routine did amazing for just dealing with the stress, coping with all the things going on. So
Yeah.
that's another factor, that mental clarity, that how we can deal with stress, being healthy, because like we said, a disaster, an emergency, it's stressful, and you want to be able to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't have to get into the whole science of it. I mean, I think this day and age, most people understand the value of that, right? The endorphin release, the chemical reactions that happen in your body from having a good, healthy routine that has physical exertion, right? It just helps cognition. It helps with management of everything across the board. So part of our preparedness should include some kind of fitness training. Now, Isaac was really great. He actually gave us a couple suggestions.
Even in the firefighting world, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You can be big, buff, strong. You get to the person who's entrapped, that once you get to them, do you have the stamina to get back out and to get that individual out? So cardiovascular training is imperative as well. So that's what I have a business focused on, hybrid training. I sell like duffel bags, chest rigs, wrist wraps, things of that nature. And more recently, just started coaching for first responders alike and whoever is ready to make that change in their life. What can I do today? So I want to give your viewers some actionable advice if they want to start taking steps to getting towards a better health and fitness routine. Why not just start with fasting? And we do it already. A lot of us don't realize we do it when we go to sleep, and when we wake up, we're in a fasted state. And fasting is so powerful. Of course, talk to your primary care physician, but for most people is recommended. So if you can fast for about 4 hours extended after you wake up, which means not having no sugary drinks, nothing caloric. And if you can fast about 4 hours after you wake up, hopefully that's about a 12 to 16 hour fast. Then what you're doing, instead of burning the food that you consume, you're tapping directly into those fat stores. Now look, you're not even working out, you're tapping into fat stores, and fasting has been shown to give you mental clarity. So now you're getting mental clarity, burning fat without even working out. So just imagine how you feel once you start to add in the walking, lifting the weight, so on and so forth. So just try fasting. I want to give your viewers something actionable. Yeah, and it's pretty awesome.
Good. So great suggestions, right? I
Hmm.
think sometimes when people think of health and fitness, they think they gotta like put all this time, energy, go to the gym, lift, and spend 2 hours working. Like
Overwhelming.
it doesn't have to be that
Yeah.
complicated, right?
Yeah.
And as Isaac mentioned, he mentioned just even going for a walk,
Hmm.
just getting your body used to doing some things. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a bodybuilder,
Right.
but just do things to kind of get your body in motion, being able to move. And I love the suggestion of just maybe just putting think about how much your bag weighs and then just
Hmm.
walking with it,
Right.
maybe doing a little hike with it.
Yeah.
That way you're getting into that motion, and okay, if
Hmm.
something does happen now, you're going to be able to handle it.
Yep. Get acclimated to that weight, what it feels like. Absolutely. Great suggestions. Even a suggestion there of just after you wake up for the intermittent fasting, right?
Right.
Just
Mhm.
a couple hours before you eat. And if you do nothing else, that is going to help with this situation, right? Like great suggestions,
Yeah.
practical, easy to follow, not a huge lift, no pun intended, right? Like very easy for us to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure you stay in touch with Isaac, and he gave us where you can go follow him.
So you can go to I Will Aesthetics. That's AESTHETICS.com. And you can just shoot us an email over there, and one of our team members will respond to you.
Well, this was a great episode. As
Yeah.
always, there's homework.
Yes, there's homework. I'm always that guy. All right, folks. So what we need to do is make sure we like, subscribe to Disaster Class, sign up for alerts so you know when we drop new episodes. Leave us a 5-star rating if you can. Give us a thumbs up, and more important than any of that is just comment, join the conversation, please. Especially when it comes to health and fitness and some of the things we've discussed today. What are you doing? What have you done? We'll even accept what you may plan to do if you're not doing anything currently right now, but just join the conversation because it's good to have that feedback, that back and forth. And we always love to hear from you guys, especially if there's anything that you appreciated about this episode. We always love hearing your comments, so keep them coming, please.
Yeah. And talking with Isaac's got me motivated to get back into the game a little bit. So
Yeah.
I might start trying to post in a little bit what I'm doing.
Nice.
I have a little home gym here, nothing crazy, but just
Yeah.
trying to do just a little bit to kind of, keep in motion and be able to handle whatever comes.
Yeah.
As always, if you have a question, you have a preparedness tip, disaster story to share, send us an email at disasterclass@instinctready.com, or you can drop us a message on our social media. And doing so will always put you in the running to be featured on the show and win some cool prizes. So thank you all for listening to Disaster Class. Stay educated,
Stay prepared.
stay equipped.
All right, guys, get out of here. Class dismissed. This episode of Disaster Class was sponsored in part by Sawyer Products, Safety 360 Consultants, Full Start Fire, Blue Lotus Virtual Services, EM Disaster Gaming by Simmental Industries. This episode was hosted by Jason Perez and Wesley Long, with a special appearance by Isaac Williams. Disaster Class is directed, produced, and edited by Jason Perez. Copyright 2025, Instinct Ready Incorporated, all rights reserved.